Let's do this!
Happy time zones, everyone, and welcome to Daily Devotion with Beez. I'm your host, Beez the Chaplain. I hope everyone had a great weekend, and for the family that are just jumping on or who will be jumping on from stateside, happy Sunday. It doesn't seem like anyone's on yet at the moment, but it's all good. Oh, no, we've got a couple of people on jumping. There's my mum. Hey, mum, it was good to see you on the weekend. It was good to see you at the house. Thank you so much once again for the dal pourri. I'm just going to move this a bit closer to me. It was nice. Karen and Nat also say thank you for the dal pourri as well. Also, Dad, good morning. Good morning, Dad. My dad's comment here is the audio technician, my audio support. Good morning, son. All good here. I had a really good weekend. I had the opportunity to go and speak at Mile End Church on the Saturday, on the Sabbath. And it was a blessing. It was definitely a blessing to go out there. Got to catch up with a friend of mine that I haven't seen in a few years, Peter Ayu. Didn't know he's in Port Macquarie now, but it was good to see him there. Also, so massive shout out to Peter. Always looking smart. Always looking good. Peter always had good fashion sense. He always dressed up. When we do praise and worship and events and stuff like that, he would always look really classy. Nothing changed. Still looking good. So good to see you. Also got to see a number of youth that were there to come and show the love. Good morning, Jada. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good weekend. On the Friday night, I was invited to go and speak speak at Mile End for a Friday night youth program based on the idea of relationships. So it was pretty good. I felt bad for the youngsters because they broke the young men because they broke us up into two different groups, one for the men and one for the women. And I was wait, let me just give me a second because hold on. Color because it seems like quite blue background. Oh, and I think I know why. Usually when that light, because that light is it's starting to fade now. But when it comes up, it kind of brings more of a warmth to the setting. But now I understand why. But also, anyway, the guys had me to be the facilitator, and I guess I presented them an idea that I know that in this season of their lives, 16, 17, wasn't really, it probably wasn't what they were wanting to hear, but I feel like later on in life, if they still want to listen to it or still apply the philosophy, it'll be very beneficial for them in the long run when it comes to relationships. But we'll see how we go. Also, good morning, Favored. Good morning, Jashania. I hope you're keeping well. Hope you're I don't know where you are. Are you stateside or are you a different part of Australia? But happy time zones nonetheless. I'm going to jump into it, and I'm going to actually continue from a message that I actually preached on the Saturday at Mile End Community Church, because it's a message that I was actually really interested, a discovery that I was like, wow, this is really cool, and I really liked it. Oh, hold up! Before I jump in, I've got Susie live. Oh man, I'm nervous now. Oh man, my brother Susie. Hey, it was good to see you last week. Good to touch base on the choir rehearsal thing. What's it called? Oh, I'm fumbling my words. And also at the same time, what was it called? I think I'm gonna drop down to bass. I got my I got the part. Amanda sent me the part, and I tried to do it, and I was like, "Oh man!" The way I think whoever's doing that baritone part up there, it is a bit too high for my liking, especially when it comes to the bridge. It is right up there, and so I was like, "No, I'm gonna drop that down, man." So I'm gonna hang with you in the bass, bro. So that's us. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for jumping on. I'm just about to start my daily devotion, so I hope you receive a blessing in this. All of a sudden, we got River as well. Sorry. Also, River, good to see you as well. So the topic of today's devotion is connecting the dots. Now, this is a follow-on of a message that I preached on Saturday about the idea of the prodigal son and the customs that were recognized, but also implemented and not so implemented in the story. So the story is about two sons. You know, one goes, leaves his dad, says, "Dad, I want my share of the inheritance. Give me what's mine." And the father, for the love that he has for the son, allows him to do this, right? And then the son goes, wastes his money, squanders it off, then has nothing. There's this severe famine in the area, and this. I'll put the passages up. This is found in Luke chapter 15, verse 11 to 32. Now, there's a main point in this story where the younger brother, or the second son, goes, I've got nothing left. I've made it rain, lost all of my money. And in that town now, or in that area, there's a severe famine. And what he's had to do is sell himself to, as a hired man to a pig farmer or a pig herder. And all he's told to do is feed the pigs. And it says he longs to feed his stomach with pig food, but no one wants to give him anything. So he's in slavery right now. He's a servant to this pig farmer, and he can't really get himself out of the situation until in verse 17, he says he finally comes to his senses and he says, "Hey, my father's got hired men back at home. I'll just go back to him because they're getting treated so much better than I am getting treated here." So he says that and goes back to his dad. But while he's still a long way off, it says, while he's still a long distance off, he comes to the father. No, sorry, as he's coming to the father runs out to him, hugs him, embraces him, kisses him, and just wants to rejoice with him. He gives him the ring, he gives him the robe, gives him the sandals, and says, "Let's prepare the fatted calf. My son's home." And it's all about the grace that the father shows. It's all about this, love that the father shows. And it's just a beautiful thing. And then it says, "Let's prepare the fatted calf because my son was dead. Now he's alive again. He's lost, but he's found." And what I think is really beautiful about this story, there are some customs these Jewish customs that were practiced there. But unfortunately, if we don't understand them, it kind of loses the magnificence, the impact of the story. So I'm going to share with you a couple of the things that I thought were small hidden gems that I realized, and I'm going to throw us back to the Old Testament. So, and this is what I think is cool. The same way, and this is like an Inception style of thing, the same way we're reading stories and understanding stories is the same way that the younger and the older brother would have received stories. They might not have known so much about the scriptures, right? They would have been taught about the scriptures when they were gone to synagogue, to temple to learn, but also all of these customs and Jewish traditions would have also been passed down from generation to generation via like audible, via by practice, by our osmosis, being in the community and looking at these practices, witnessing them happen. So there are three things that I'd like to bring to your attention. There's a first custom, or it was a Jewish tradition, right? That when the younger boy originally goes to the father and says, "Give me my share of the inheritance," it's actually, because there's two sons in this story, it was actually the responsibility of the older brother to mediate between that discussion, right? That never happened. And it's like, where was he? The first question is, where were we? Where are we as older brothers to when our younger people are wanting to leave the family of God? Where are we as mediators? Where are we as representatives on behalf of the Heavenly Father to say, "Hey, why are you going out there for? Stay here. It's better in here. It's better in the family. Don't do that." Second one is, and I'm kind of racing through this, but it's all good because it's the third one that makes the difference for me, or the third one that hits home for me. The second custom that was also neglected or kind of overlooked, that it was actually the older boy's responsibility to, to prepare the fatted calf, right? It was his responsibility to prepare the fatted calf. And what happened was, he wasn't there. So the father got a servant to do it. The third thing, and this is what I think is also important, and this one is really interesting. I want you to go back with me to Leviticus chapter 25 verse 47. And this is what it says, and this is very important. It says, Leviticus chapter 25, verse 47 to 48, and it says this: if an alien or temporary resident among you becomes rich, and one of your countrymen becomes poor and sells himself to the alien living among you, and so this is like a foreigner, not alien, we'll use foreigner. If a foreigner or temporary resident living among you becomes rich, and one of your countrymen becomes poor and sells himself to the foreigner among you, or to the member of that person's clan, he retains the right of redemption after he's been sold, or the right to be bought back. And then it says, one of his relatives may redeem him. And then and for me, and then also it says, an uncle or cousin or brother or any relative in that person may redeem him, or if he's prosperous, he may reclaim himself, or may redeem himself, or set himself free. That, for me, this is the important one, right? The older brother, there was also a Jewish tradition, and it's a Levitical law, and it's called the kinsman redeemer. The law of the kinsman redeemer is that he had the opportunity, also the choice, that he could have gone back and bought his brother back. Had he have known, had he have cared for the brother, though he sold himself to that foreigner, he, as his kinsman, could have gone into that and bought himself back. Unfortunately, he chose not to, and the choice was his, right? And then when it comes to the story, it says, well, where was he? Even at the homecoming, it says in verse 25, meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he got angry because he heard the music and he knew that it was a homecoming. He didn't care for his younger brother, but ultimately it may have been he had the choice of going to rescue him. He had the choice of going to buy him back. He had the choice because he knew this law. The same way that we have the Levitical laws, like the same way that we can read it, we can understand it, we can understand the customs of that time. He knew of them. He just chose not to do it. But what I love about Jesus is that he implemented the Levitical law to show that he is our kinsman redeemer. That he, even in the midst of our sin, in the midst of our struggles, in the midst of our turmoil, in the midst of our worries, in the midst of all of those problems and struggles and challenges that we face, the kinsman redeemer in Jesus Christ came and brought us back, right? With the sacrifice that he made on the cross, with the love that he had for us, he chose to be the older brother that didn't neglect us. He chose to be the older brother who wasn't out in the field, who wasn't out, not worrying and not caring for us, but he was the older brother that came looking for us, right? Who sacrificed himself as the payment to redeem us and to bring us back into the family and the fold of God. For me, I love that. And so the two, connecting the dots, in this story of the prodigal son, what I love about it is that he's going back into Levitical law and saying that this older brother could have had the choice. He could have had the choice to claim the Levitical law of seeing that his brother was imprisoned or enslaved, or was working and hired himself out to that person, couldn't bring himself back. His brother could have gone out and rescued him. Because what I think is really powerful at the end of the story is that the Heavenly Father says to him, my son, he said, you are always with me, and everything that I have is yours. Even my wealth is yours. My inheritance, what I'm giving to you, that's yours anyway. But it's what you could have done with that. You could have used your inheritance to go and buy your brother back. That brother didn't, but Jesus Christ did. And that's what I love about Jesus Christ, is that in this story, you find out that he is our kinsman redeemer, that he chose to leave. He chose to leave, come to where I was, bring me out of my sin, bring me out of my brokenness, and pay the price for me so I can come home and celebrate my homecoming. And that's a choice. And that's a choice that we've been given as well. And that's the powerful thing. Jesus said, and this is in Matthew, and I just want to share this. It's like Matthew chapter 5, verse 13. 13 to about 16, and says, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown onto the ground and trampled by men. Verse 14, you are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they see the good deeds and praise your heavenly Father in heaven. What makes sense, or what takes that second level up for me understanding, is that that's a choice. It's not a thing of capability and not capability. God has already said, I've given you the gifts, I've given you the resources, I've given you the talents, and I've given you the opportunity. Now go. But it's your choice if you want to be that light. It's your choice if you want to be that salt. Because in the book, if we're throwing back to the Levitical law, it was the older brother's choice to be the kinsman redeemer or not. And in this particular story of the prodigal son, what I think is interesting is he chose not to. Because even when it came time to the homecoming, where was he? Was he letting his light shine as like in the house? No, he was out in the field. He didn't even want to be part of that. There was no light for him to shine. And even still, in the homecoming, or celebrating the homecoming, when the son comes back, when the son comes back and there's homecoming in the house, had the older brother been there to celebrate with him, had the older brother been there to prepare the fatted calf, that's letting his light shine before his community. And what does it say when it says at the end? It says, let your light shine to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they see the good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Had he have done that, had he have been the kinsman redeemer, had he have prepared the fatted calf, had he have let his light shine in the house at the homecoming of his brother, everyone would have praised the Father in heaven. They're like, yeah, you've got your household in order. This is a good house. But the son, that older son chose not to. He chose to ignore. He chose to say, no, I'm not going to let it shine. Why? Because the anger and the frustration and the resentment that he had to his younger brother. And for me, that's where the light isn't there. That's where Jesus says, I am the light. I am the light of the world, right? I am the light. I'm the kinsman. I'm going to bring you back. I'm going to help celebrate your homecoming because that's me. What he's also finally called us to do is said, you are the light of the world now, right? The same light that's from God, the same spirit that's of God is the same spirit that's in Jesus. That's the same spirit in us. And what Jesus has said, he said, now go and be the kinsman redeemer. Go and save others that are lost. Go in my name and go help them, bring them back home. Like this, the same way that you have been redeemed by my sacrifice, go and tell them that they've been redeemed by by the blood of the Lamb and by the sacrifice of Jesus Christ on that cross. And they've been set free from their sin, their slavery, and they can come home now and they can celebrate that homecoming. But it's our choice. Where are we with our light? Are we still in the fields? Are we not allowing our light to shine? Are we choosing not to let our light shine? Because this passage, the Matthew one at the end, and I've got to add it into the list of scriptures that we're sharing, it's not about us not being capable. It's not about, oh, I don't have a light to shine, or I don't have a gift. No. God's already given us all of that. God's given us talents, gifts, the ability to be personable, to have friends, to have social life, to have the opportunities to share Jesus Christ, to share love, to share the good news. That's what God has given us, right? And God is saying, but now it's a choice. Is your choice, are you going to be out in the field? Or are you going to go be the kinsman redeemer? Are you going to allow your light to shine? Are you are you going to be a reflection of the initial kinsman redeemer and go out to our brothers and sisters who are still in the pig pen, who are still in slavery, who are still in sin, who are still struggling and can't find their way out? Are we going to be the ones to go out and show them that hope, that life, that love in Jesus Christ to bring them home? Or are we going to choose to be absent? That was the challenge that was brought to my attention. And for me, what I think is really powerful is the same way that this older brother in the parable of the prodigal son would have been taught all of these Jewish customs, would have known all of these traditions. Now we're connecting the dots and we're saying that he had the opportunity to invoke the Levitical law of the kinsman redeemer to buy his brother back. That's a point for us. If we need to connect the dots, we need to go that one step further and say, Jesus Christ was our initial kinsman redeemer. God implemented that law to show what Jesus Christ was going to do on the cross for us. And now, since we've been redeemed by him, we need to go and reflect that to other people so they will celebrate their homecoming as well. The challenge for us is, will we take that opportunity? Will we choose to let our light shine before men so others will be drawn into a saving relationship with Jesus Christ, and others will be drawn back into the household and the fold of God? I pray today that we choose that. We choose that option, that we know we're connecting the dots now, and we're realizing that we've been given the opportunity to go out and give hope, life, and love to our brothers and sisters who may not know Jesus but are in desperate need of him, so they can celebrate their homecoming as well. I pray today and for this week that we're encouraged to do that. That we are encouraged to celebrate the love of Jesus Christ to our brothers and sisters, so they'll want to come home. And let us, when they are home, let us shine our light before them and to everyone, so we can celebrate that we're glad that they're back in the community of God, and will give them more opportunity for us to celebrate salvation found in Jesus Christ. I really feel that God has given us the plan of how he wants us to build his kingdom. And it's us going out there and showing life and love and hope to those who may not know him but are in desperate need of him and who are stuck. So let us do that. Let us be encouraged by that. Let us journey with God so we can choose to let our light shine. We can choose not to be out in the field, but celebrate the homecomings of our brothers and sisters there who are still out there. Let us choose to go and be a reflection of the Kingsman Redeemer and show others who are struggling that there is hope. And yeah, let's celebrate their homecoming as well. I'm going to leave it at that because I feel like I'm repeating myself and I'm not landing this plane. So I'm going to land the plane now. So let's have a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, I just want to say thank you for another day, another week, another opportunity to connect with you. I thank you for your love, your mercy, your compassion, and your grace. And Lord, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity that you've created this platform that, people in Australia, Sydney, and all over the world, in the States can receive a blessing from you, can hear a word of encouragement from you, can journey with you, and ultimately, from the words and the stories that we hear from the Bible, get inspired and motivated and have your spirit to go out into the world and be a light to others, so they will be drawn back into a relationship with Jesus Christ, a saving relationship with the Father. And I pray that you motivate us and give us the spirit to do that. May we be the older brother like Jesus Christ was, the kinsman redeemer, the original kinsman redeemer. May we not choose to just hide our light under a bushel, or just neglect, or just avoid, or just not just be present, but may we be present. May that spirit flow and shine through us, so people will know that we are saved, we are loved, but they are saved and they are loved as well. I pray that you give us that heart. I ask this all in your loving name. Amen. Thank you so much for joining me today for another daily devotion with Beez. Massive shout out to Susie Live. Massive shout out to the Poetic Alien, Warden of the Sand, River. I'm so glad to have you on board. And also, hey, Susie, I really appreciate the support. For those of you who don't know, Susie is not only an amazing person, great friend, but he is a streamer. He's a Christian streamer, and he is a trailblazer. He's one of the initial founders of God Squad Church, and he has done amazing things for the kingdom on the Twitch platform. Please check him out. I don't know if you're still around, but I'm going to do one of these ones. How am I going to say? Share love at Susie. Did that work? Yes, it worked. Susie is currently playing World of Warcraft. Amazing. I think he bounced, but it's all good. But I just want to say thank you so much for the love. Also, I'm just going to read some of the comments. And by the way, apologies if you're on Twitch, because I think I changed all my notifications back to the just chatting thing. But if the notification came out and was like, oh, I'm playing this game, come and watch. I'm not, clearly, but thanks for joining nonetheless. Hope you receive the blessing from it. It seems like everyone's just chilling at the moment. I want to say massive shout out again to the people on Instagram on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube Live. Thank you so much for joining me for another daily devotion. I've got a couple of meetings today, a busy week ahead, and I hope that everyone has a blessed week. I hope everyone is encouraged and inspired by the message that God was able to deliver this morning in this daily devotion. Also, good morning. Karen's here. All right, good morning, K's dog, Kaz dog, aka wifey, aka babe. Thanks for joining as well. Have yourself a blessed rest of the weekend or beginning of the week, wherever you are in the world. I'll see you tomorrow for another daily devotion with Beez. In the meantime, stay safe, stay blessed. Peace out. Much love. Thanks again. Bye.